Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon. This is Indy Comics Explained. And yet again, I brought another fantastic group of independent comic publishers. And without further ado, please hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video, let everybody know we're here. And listen, I got this guy back. This dude.
What? I finally got an invitation. I got an invitation to the show. I'm excited. You know what I'm saying, bro? I mean, it's like I am the ice cream to your soda. You know, I mean, without you, without me, there's no you. Aha. No. What's up, everybody? I'm JD Rosario from Unstoppable Comics. Been publishing comic books for more than 16 years on my own 2 cents, which is funny because I pretty much got none left. So welcome to the show, everybody, and welcome to the creators who are putting their money where their mouth is and talking about the books that they're making.
Nice. You mean you ran out of nickels?
I never had one.
Okay, there you go. Shekels?
A few shekels.
There you go. All right. And our co-host for the evening?
It's hard to follow up on that intro, man. Can't beat the man himself, JD, with that one. But hello, everybody. I am so elated to be back again as co-host of Indy Comics Explained. I'm Marcus McNeal, editor-in-chief of Odyssey Comics, and here to take part in another great conversation. Looking forward to it, guys.
Very much. Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Marvin.
So, Marvin Wynn, coming straight out of Comicsburg, representing the Edge.
So, guys, back again. It's far easier to get an invite into this show than you think. Because basically, I was out taking my walk around the lake, and I was like, "So, JD, you got a spot?" He was like, "Yeah, come on in." And I was in. That was like 30 minutes ago. So, it's just like that. It's that easy. Tom Hutchison, Big Dog Inc., writer, publisher, art director. I'm shipping books later on tonight too, so I do it all over here. We're doing it for the last 13 years, and we've got a Kickstarter running right now celebrating those 13 years.
Very nice. Yeah, and
see what happens when you break mid 5 figures on a campaign on a regular basis. All right, you get the easy invite, just like that. You know,
and not to mention he's just taking a casual walk around the lake. Ooh la la.
You know, I take a casual walk.
I didn't call it the private lake. It's just the lake.
Okay, I thought you were on some Dawson's Creek type move over there.
All right, and the man of the hour, Mr. Ben Dunn. How are you, sir?
Yes, salutations, everyone. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, sir. Please, Ben, introduce yourself. Let those people who don't know who you are, let you know who you are.
Well, thank you. Yes, I started at Antarctic Press in 1985. We've been publishing continuously ever since. I'm the creator of Ninja High School and Warrior Nun, and among other things, I currently I'm one of the editors at Antarctic Press, and I'm still doing Ninja High School, and now I'm doing a new series called Tomorrow Girl.
Ben.
Yes.
Ben.
Yes.
I need you to think about this for a second. Okay.
Sure. What is it?
So it's almost 40 years for AP. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We know Dark Horse started in 86, so they're already not part of this question. Is AP now the longest running continuous publisher of all time, minus Marvel and DC?
I wouldn't say that exactly. I think, and I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Americomics has actually been around longer.
That might be true.
Who are those guys? I don't know who those guys are.
Bill Black out of
Bill
Florida.
Black, I think he's still continuing. He's still publishing.
Oh, Femforce stuff. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Bill Black, yeah. How about Fantagraphics? How old are they? Because they've been around for a minute.
Fantagraphics? I think Fantagraphics has been around a long time as well. I'm not sure when they started, though.
Yeah.
Kitchen Sink was what, in the early 2000s?
But I don't know if they still do comics. I don't know if they still do any original comics anymore. I think they're just doing.
Yeah, there are definitely older publishers, but the question is continuing publishers like that have kept doing it. You know.
Well, we're definitely up there.
Yeah, for sure.
But the important thing is not when you started, but how long you last.
That's exactly right. Yes.
This is true.
I was trying to give you a new tagline there, Ben. You know,
Well, I appreciate it.
next time you go to San Diego, the longest running. You know.
Oh, that just means we're old.
There's nothing wrong with being old. Ask Jay.
Well, I don't say we're old, but we're experienced.
What are you talking about? I resemble that remark, baby. Come on.
Face it, we're older and we have more insurance.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, gentlemen, look. I wanted to like hyper focus on this show just on the direct market, right? Like Marcus is out there, he's doing his company thing. And I've asked him about it. I know he's thinking about it. Jay is also thinking about it. I know Tom, he's been in the direct market. Ben, you obviously been at it, for a minute. Marvin is out there. He has Comicsburg going out there doing his thing in the direct market. I'm interested. I've been in it. I'm looking to get back in at some point. So yeah, man. I mean, like, is it, should we consider it a boogeyman, right? Is it our savior, right? Is it a cash sink, right? I mean, because I know a lot of guys who have lost their shirts going into it, right? I know them. They got tons of books in their basements or in their garages or whatever, or is it a place where we can make a lot of money, right? And I know it's all of those things. That's the funniest thing. It's all of those things, right? But from where you sit, right? What would be your best suggestion to a brand new publisher, to someone who wants to come in? What would you suggest to them? What should they do prior to getting into the business? What should they think about? What should they consider? Marvin?
Man, that's a rough one to start off on. It's kind of advice for the direct market. Come on. I'm gonna answer your question though, because I like you. I would tell them to not even think about it, honestly, unless you can guarantee to move more than 1,000 books for every time you're listed in the catalog. It's not worth it. You're going, like you said, you're going to lose your shirt and have a bunch of books sitting in your basement because. I mean, how, as a small publisher starting out, do you convince a shrinking market to buy your book over buying 80 copies of Batman that they know is going to sell? I mean, some of these stores are more inclined to even just keep ordering books that don't sell because they're part of the mainstream. So why should they take a chance on a book they don't know? Why should they take a chance on Serious Man over Superman? I mean, it's just so going to be so daunting for anyone just starting to even breach that wall without any assistance from anybody on the outside, or even to say that, how do I communicate to these stores? Do I call the stores? Most of them don't like that. Do I email the stores? Other ones don't like that either. So it's kind of a mixed bag of how do you approach that situation? I mean, going to the local stores, that's easy. You walk into a store and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I live in the area, I got this book, will you carry it? Oh, sure, we'll put it on our shelves for consignment, and if it doesn't sell, come get it in 3 months. So, I mean, it's so up and down as a new person coming in of trying to break through that barrier. It's a shield. There's a shield up over the store. How do you break through it without walking into that store and having a relationship with the person that owns the store?
All right, fair enough. Tom, you look like you had a lot to say. Go for it.
Yeah, y'all can go home. I'm going to be busy for a long time right now. This is going to be so.
We're initiating as co-host. I'm going to do this. We're doing a 10-minute limit on all answers.
So, first of all, Marvin's right. Don't do it. It's really difficult. Second of all, Marvin's sort of right, but sort of wrong, because in the first thing that he said about having a whole bunch of stuff in your basement, that's kind of what you need to have as a new publisher, right? Or as a new creator or whatever. But you have to have a way to continue to sell those units, whether it's eBay, a web store, going to Comic Cons, all that kind of stuff. You have to treat and I've said this for a long time, you have to treat the retail side of things, the diamond side, we'll just call it the diamond side, as sort of a marketing expense, right? It can get your book in front of a lot of eyeballs, but you're probably not going to make any money. But if you have to print 3,000 units and you sell 1,000 through Diamond and you still have 2,000, that doesn't mean you're dead in the water. That just means you now have 2,000 units that you have to sell in other places. And what you have to do is hope that the eyeballs that you're getting in any capacity in the store are going to then, as they bring home your comic and it says Marvin Wynn Comics right there, .com, you hope that they go to your website and they go to your social media and they start to follow you and you build that following. But it is even when we started, and this is now 13 years ago for us, we started when the system still kind of worked. But even like Marvin said, we were walking into stores and saying, hey, here's our books. This is what's coming. And they were like, well, we don't care unless you're in Diamond. I'm like, I'm in Diamond, dude. I'm trying to show you the books. Like, it's really weird how retailers don't want to talk to anyone unless it's Jim Lee or Todd McFarlane or somebody at like Heads Up. They really don't care. And even when you're talking about locals, it's just like Marvin said, generally speaking, they'll run consignment, but they won't, pay you for the books. So the unfortunate way to break in is that you would need a publisher that already has an established sort of reputation to them, like an AP over there. Because then, when AP puts your book out through them, and it's going to the retailer to look at, hey, what am I buying this month? And I've been buying Gold Digger and all this other stuff. Oh, AP is doing this book. Okay. Now it has at least a hint of a cachet to it because it's part of a larger brand. And that's why we keep seeing a lot of people asking all the time, how do I get into a publisher? How do I break in that way? The alternative is, of course, crowdfunding, where you can just do it all yourself, but that's got its own pitfalls.
Ben, what are your thoughts, man? I mean, you're the sagacious one. So,
well, I mean,
sagacious. I'm sorry, that's a word I've never heard anyone use on a regular basis.
That's a Jeopardy word.
$2 words.
So I'm sorry. I own a dictionary.
No, listen. I'm glad you do. I'm glad you do. You're educating people out here. I apologize for cutting you off, Ben. I'm sorry.
No problem. Well, I mean, I don't disagree with most of your points. But be it far for me to tell someone, that they can't pursue their dreams of wanting to do a comic if that's what they want to do, and they're dead set on doing it. I would give them just a little bit of advice to try to, for them to understand what they're getting into. I think a lot of the pitfalls that a lot of beginning creators is that they don't treat it like a business. They don't. They just think that all I have to do is sit down, draw a comic, and people will be the path, to my creation. And while that there is a possibility that may happen, you still have to treat it like you would run it as anything. You have to have a plan, and you have to have you have to decide what your future goals are. If you really want to make a goal of trying to make something of a creation that you've done, you should look at all possible revenue streams. That includes the direct market, like you said, the crowdfunding, direct sales, digital sales, anything that you can do that you have control over to expand your reach, you should do it. And it takes a lot of work, and that's really what it comes down to, is how much work are you willing to put into something like this. A lot of people give up because they don't hit it out of the park the first time, and they get discouraged, and they fear that, no one cares, no one really wants to buy my book and all. And that's probably the biggest mistake you can make if you're trying to start off. And you can't give up. If this is what you want to do, you cannot give. You have to be willing to put in the work, and that's really what it comes down to. Is you got to work at of making it successful. If you don't, then you're right. There's no reason for you to continue. There's you might as well just not even bother, to begin with. But like I said, it's not for me to say that, oh yeah, your creation, it ain't going nowhere. You might as well just give it up, because you never know. The thing you do could be the next Harry Potter, could be the next Star Wars, could be the next big thing. And if you give up before people even have a chance to get to know it, then you'll never know. It'll just be it'll just languish in your mind. And it's like one of those scenes in a movie where a guy starts a rock band, okay, and then he thinks that, oh, if I've only had stuck, continually doing a rock band, I could have been a big, huge star, and that's the same way with comics. You have to believe in your product, okay? You have to believe in what you're doing. Look at what other people are doing. The comic industry has been around for what, 80 years? Go and do your research. Find out what people are doing that are successful, but also find out, what people are doing wrong. Try to avoid those pitfalls. Talk to people who've already been down that road and try to get them to give you advice on things, on what to do, what to avoid. Like you said, Kickstarter is a big platform. I mean, a lot of people don't understand when they first do Kickstarter, they don't understand that there's shipping involved, there's printing involved, you have to deal with the customer directly, and when you're publishing through like AP, you don't deal with the customer directly. We do that. So all you have to do is just create, and we publish your work and you get paid for it. But there's no reason why you can't do both. There's no reason you can't do direct sale, and you can do crowdfunding, and you can do whatever, because you own the creation. When you own the creation, you have total control over the destiny of that creation. As long as you own it until, and if you're successful with it, who knows, maybe down the line, some Hollywood exec may come knocking at your door and says, hey, we want to buy your creation. And, here's a big fat check for you, and I think that's what a lot of creators want. Is that their end goal is to, actually make a living, doing what they love. So, but it's like anything new, you have to be willing to put in the work, and you have to be willing to not give up on your dream. Yes, you could lose money, and you could lose a lot of money, so you have to take that into account as a possibility, and how much are you willing to lose before you give up, and hopefully, it will be successful, but hopefully you'll learn why people are not buying my book. You have to ask a fundamental question like that. Is it me? Is it because of what I'm doing? Maybe people just are not connecting with the book, because, a lot of creators blame, outside forces as why their book is not successful, and you could do that, but I think that's sort of counter, productive. It's not productive. If you blame other people for your failure, then you'll never know what it is that is keeping you back. So I mean, I agree with what all the points you've made, but I feel also that if you have a dream, you should pursue it.
All right, cool, fair enough. Marcus, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's difficult for me to advise what a new creator should do to get into the direct market, or if they should, because I am a new creator trying to get into the direct market. And looking at this, we've only been an entity over at House Accounts for 2 years now.
So tell everyone your secrets.
Tell everybody my secrets. Well, we're not in Diamond, that's for sure. All my pitches have been rejected. Catalogs have been rejected. But prior to even doing so, I did exactly what Ben was talking about, going to anyone who talked to me. That's been my key thing ever since I started this whole trip is, go to the people that know, to the pros, and anybody who would make time to give me any kernel of knowledge. And the advice they were all giving to me about the direct market was not to do it. One creator I was talking to in a very, deep conversation with it, and they asked me, how many comics do you think you're going to run through Kickstarter this year? How many are Odyssey going to do? You're going to do 200, 300, 400? And I said, probably by the time of the year is all said and done, maybe 1,500 to 2,000 comics through Kickstarter. And he said, well, shit. You're never going to move that much to the direct market. Not in the position that you guys are right now. And you're getting all that money. It's all you. And, I'm taking care of the distribution, everything like that, shipping it to all the backers. So, my overhead is low because I'm not paying anybody. I'm pretty good when it comes to the financial stuff, everything like that. But as Tom was mentioning, it is a pretty intensive marketing piece. And you talk to creators, and they come aboard a publisher like Odyssey Comics. One of the shop things I get asked is, can you get me in the shops? And my response is always, why do you want to be in shops? What is it giving you? What is that affording you? Because if you're looking for money in your pocket, I'm gonna tell you right now, there ain't none. And if you're looking for a feather in your cap, okay, you might have a little bit of something because you say, hey, I'm in a comic, I'm in previews, check it out, here it goes. Now, if I'm getting returns or, anything like that, it's like, how many are we moving at the end of the day? How many of those comics are going to end up in a discount bin for some comic shop? What is the true effect on the beat? So I think at the end of the day, we all do this because we want people to engage and interact with our work and to be aware of it. And the direct market is the big opportunity to do that. If people aren't doing that through the direct market, no matter how much, pub that you get to have or how much clout that you get to have saying that, you're in X amount of shops, whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, you're not getting that engagement, that piece that is actually benefiting you as a creator. What's the point? What's the point when you can do that more effectively through Kickstarter these days? So you're building a direct connection with your fans, when you can go and you can see 75, 80% of your, backers from previous campaigns jumping onto your next ones, and you can look people in the eye and cons and say like, hey, I was able to make this happen. And then thinking about the shops too, because we know how the game goes. There's only one person making money in the direct market. It's always the distributor. The creators aren't getting a whole lot. The shops are getting 20% off of the cover price, whatever the case may be.
40%. If they're going to Diamond, they get 40%.
Okay, but they go to Diamond 40%. So like it could be advantageous, but then you're looking at indie, you're looking at small volume. So really my mindset is more or less, doing what I always do, which is like building relationships from the creators to things like that. So as we're going to the shops now we're in, I think 3, working on number 4, really not just being like, hey, carry my books. We're putting them in here. Like we put out great stuff. And I stand by the quality of it and I appreciate the quality of it. But I always tell them, I'm not looking to just dump my comics in the store because I don't care. Like, it's about building that relationship, having something that's advantageous for the shop. The shop can talk it up. The shop is actually, invested and putting eyes on it and helping us in a way that is growing that initial fan base, even if it's customer by customer, 1s by 2s, 2s by 3s. At the end of the day, that creates a snowball effect, in my opinion, that brings more people into the fold. So I would say if a new creator is coming in, brand new, you're fresh to comics, you don't have a publisher behind your back, everything, just don't think about direct market. There's got to be something that you could ideally build towards. But if your goal is to, come out and you're going to have the best book of the world and you're going to, get it to Lunar, you're going to get it to Diamond, you're going to sell tens of thousands of copies, check reality a little bit when it comes to that one.
All right. Fair enough. Mr. Rosario, what are your thoughts?
All right, you said we got 10 minutes, right? Okay. So
starting now.
I want to go back to something I've mentioned quite a few times. When Dinesh was running Valiant, he said 80% of his revenue came from 18% of the direct market. Right? And in our eyes, right, the layman's term, the regular average Joe, we saw Valiant as a pretty high up there company, right? Maybe top 10 publisher at one point. And they were only getting their books into 18% of the direct market. Mm-hmm. What the fuck? Right? This leads into me asking, a whole bunch of questions. And one of those is, how is the direct market surviving today? I mean, it's a miracle.
Because there's 25 Batman books.
There's 25 Batman books. But, Marvin, what's up?
I can answer that question. Uncle Pops. But
okay.
you saw what's happening with Funko too. So they're going in that direction. So I mean, it's not comics. It's toys. It's the games. It's everything else but the comics that are keeping those stories.
Right. So all right, I want to get into something for a second. One of my past lives, I was a beer vendor. Okay. The company I worked for had a portfolio that consisted of Corona, Sam Adams, Rolling Rock, Mike's Hard Lemonade, and a few other things that fell down on the depth chart. But we were selling to big chain supermarkets as well as small corner stores and bodegas. Okay. Funny thing about the bodegas is there's almost a parallel between that and the mom and pop comic shop. All right. They're on that small scale. Yet the mom and pop comic shop would refuse to deal with more than one vendor. Yet you have bodegas dealing with multiple vendors to get all their products into the store. The thing that multiple vendors have is parity. All right. So if you are in one of these different distributors, you may have a shot where, okay, you could be 100 on that company's depth chart, but then you could be in the top 20 in another company's depth chart. So there's more ability to be pushed by that distributor. If you got one distributor, I mean, how are they going to push you if you're 786 book on their depth chart, right? How much of a voice are you going to have when you're trying to pitch your book, sell your book to all these different stores, when there's so many other books on the depth chart ahead of you? Not just the Batman and the Robin books selling, but Marvin's books, right? Tom's books, or Ben's books. I gotta get time from those shop owners that may take away time from some of those guys. And how many of them want to deal with that if I am the 756th caller or emailer in that day?
Yeah.
Yet, if you were 20th on somebody else's depth chart, right, and you're moving, you can utilize that to maybe bring you up in another distributor's depth chart. So we don't have that kind of parity, right? And that shows because we don't have that many places to sell our books. So yes, going back to what Ben is saying, utilizing and what Tom was saying, utilizing every possible revenue stream you can is the key to everybody's business plan. I mean, you look at Boom, how many times has Boom used crowdfunding? You look at IDW, how many times have they used crowdfunding, right? I even think Marvel is starting to get into the crowdfunding game. Toy producers are crowdfunding on their own sites. And
Ben has been there as well.
Yeah. Okay. Look, see, I mean, it is part of your business plan. So yes, you need to understand business if you want to have legs or longevity in this, right? You asked Marvin, right? What is one thing you want to tell a new creator getting into this? And the first thing you got to ask them is, do you want to just tell a story, or do you want to have time in this industry? Right? You got to make that decision because those are two different modes of operation. Once you figure that out, you know which path you're going to take.
Right. Right. And then that's when you were saying before about getting advice from someone who's done it before. When a lot of us first started, there was nobody was sharing information because there wasn't anybody. It was Marvel, DC, and they're not sharing their information on the stuff that you need to do to pursue your passions and get things in the stores and other locations. I mean, like you said, that where's growth has to be there. So that's why, like, recently we approached a pizza shop about carrying comics, and they took books, and they sell games also. So that helps. Like, we can push comics and games at the same time through a pizza shop.
Oh, that's cool.
But you have to do that.
Yes.
Right? Their sales team is not looking for different outlets at all. Are they?
Well, no. I mean, if you're talking about Marvel DC, that's an IP. So
no. I'm talking about the distributor sales team.
Oh, no.
Are they looking for new outlets? Are they looking for new chains to grab? As a New Yorker, I know there are multiple bodega organizations that have upwards of 50 to 60 different corner stores as part of that. And you're telling me that by not going after one organization, you can't land 60 new accounts, right? You have that possibility to do that multiple times over. How many times is that happening across the country? Right?
Yeah, but you being a monopoly, you didn't have to do that.
Being
For a
right,
long time.
being a monopoly, you don't have to do that. But you know what? Look at the New York City Taxi and Limousine Commission. What happened when they were in monopoly, and then they had a disruptor come, and now they're clawing out the bits to try to stay alive.
Right. Same thing's happening to Diamond, bro.
Same thing is happening to Diamond.
Yeah, Uber
Right.
and
Hold
Lyft
on.
pretty much.
Let me
killed
go through some of this. Let me go through some of this stuff through the chat real quick. I'm not a huge comic guy, so I guess I'm curious how many casual fans of comics go directly for something they're looking for when going to a comic shop, or actually look for something new. You know, I can't speak for you guys. I know when I was a kid, I always looked for the new stuff aside from just getting my regular Marvel stuff. Carlos writes, Kickstarter is only for production. It's not for expanding your base. Only massive direct-to-consumer sales or comic shops will do that. If you get 120 to 300 backers, think about that. That's minuscule. Getting in shops gives you the opportunity to grow your brand, as well as get into convention, as well as get a bit more exposure. And it just says, I'm curious as a creator, do I want my work in front of as many people as possible? And is there an opportunity there when it's brick and mortar, but how many people exactly are seeing it in a shop? Right.
Well,
that's the big question, right?
It's like Jay just said, right? The percentages of retail stores that are buying indie comics of any kind. Think about that, right? So Jay says that 18% are buying Valiant comics. How many are buying Big Dog Inc.? It's not 18%, baby.
Right.
So yes, when we're in Diamond, we get more exposure. But just because we're in the previous catalog does not mean we are in every store. Not by a long shot.
Just a quick rewind on the Valiant thing. You also have to take into account that back in the 90s, there were 10,000 comic book shops in America.
Right. I mean, Ben, back in the day, you've been around for a minute. You were there for the black and white boom. Some of it, some of us call it a glut, right? But back then, though, I remember, like, I came in towards the tail end. 91, 92 was my first published work. I could sell 3,000 to 5,000 books, right? Now, what would, and we were, I was a kid. My entire team of kids, no advertising, no nothing, brand new, 13 distributors, just putting it out there. We'll sell 3,000 to 5,000 books. Now, what was your experience back then as opposed to now?
Well, I don't know how much history you know about the comic industry distribution system, but a lot has changed since we started. One of the things that is that we are in an unprecedented era of sharing information. Okay, we have the internet. We didn't have that. Okay, when you look at the internet was just, a fevered pipe dream, from science fiction novels. So now you have every single person here has the ability to reach potentially millions of people. Okay, I mean you couldn't do that back then. So with that in mind, what is it that we as creators can do to take advantage of that? Now, I'll give you an example. Like, for instance, I'm not sure if you are familiar with Eric July. He does a book called Isom, and he's not in comic stores. Okay, he's not in. He has his own distribution plan, and he's making millions. So it is possible for some new creator to come along and you see immediate success. Now, granted, he has built up his audience over a very long period of time. And I'm saying it does take a lot of dedicated hard work to reach that level. And I'm not saying that it's going to be easy. Nothing really achievable is going to be easy. You have to put in, and I keep emphasizing, is you got to put in the hard work. And that's just something that I think a lot of young creators don't grasp. They don't understand that concept that you have to keep at it. You have to keep producing. You have to keep, improving. Look at what you're doing and decide for yourself. Hey, why is my book not selling? Ask yourself that fundamental question. If it is selling, great, fantastic, you're on your way. But if it's not, then you have to say, well, what am I doing fundamentally wrong? You have to look at that and change course if you have to. But with the direct market, it all went to shit when Marvel decided they got greedy, and decided, what, we're going to distribute our own book. You know, we're going to distribute our own comics. So Marvel pretty much ruined the direct market. You know, I mean, I'm not afraid to say that. I mean, that's what they did. Okay, so when they went exclusive, then that created a whole panic in the industry. So now everybody started going exclusive. Okay, then DC went exclusive, Dark Horse went exclusive. Now AP was offered to be exclusive in Diamond, you know, and we had a meeting and we decided not to do it. Okay, because we thought fundamentally that was wrong. Okay, because competition creates better service, it creates better product.
Right.
Okay, so when they went exclusive, I mean, we were saying, don't go exclusive. It's the wrong thing to do, you know, because back in the 80s we had half a dozen different comic book distributors. Okay, so they ordered comics from everybody. Everybody could sell to them, you know, and they had a bunch of clients, and they offered, each of them competed for better service, you know, and carrying things like, and all of them carried comics, you know. But when they went exclusive, that was the death knell for the direct market. It took a while for it to finally come to pass, but here it is, you know, and that's always been one of the things that I was totally against, exclusivity. And still they haven't learned. Okay, they're still trying to do this exclusive thing with each distributor. If you really want to open the comic industry, you know, make it so you can have as many distributors as possible. Okay, and try to reach as many, encourage retailers to modernize, you know, to, you know, and give them incentives to start promoting comics to the general public. And another thing I also think is comics is just too expensive. It's no longer an impulse buy. You know, when comics were, you know, they were aimed at kids, so they had to be priced so that kids could afford it on an impulse buy. You know, and that's what got readers, the next generation readers. You know, now we no longer do that. We don't cater to kids anymore. There's no longer any generational. You know, the kids are reading manga. Okay, that's what they're reading now. You know, and so they're growing up reading manga, and that's what they're going to be doing now. You know, and manga is very diverse and is very cheap. You know, that's the one thing that they have an advantage over, you know, creators like us. We have to, you know, we're one studio or one group, one person trying to create, you know, a book for the ground up, and it's hard work. You know that it's hard work. It takes a long time to create a comic book, and that time you're spending, okay, is time you could. I mean, if you really want the truth, you probably make more money working at McDonald's, to be honest. You know, but the thing is, you all have a dream. Okay, you're hoping that your story, you know, your idea, okay, will resonate with a huge number of people. Okay, so that you can make your idea a new icon of the pop culture, you know, and hopefully make you very wealthy in the interim. And that's the only reason we all do this, is because we will hopefully someday, you know, we'll get that, we'll leave our mark, you know, on the comic world or in the world in general. You know, I mean, one of the things I always thought was interesting was that. You remember comic strips in newspapers?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you if any of you have newspapers, but it used to be when I was growing up, we had comic strips in newspaper and they were free. You read them for free. Okay. You know, you paid, of course, the subscription for the newspaper, you know, but the newspaper usually threw the comics just for, you know, for reading, you know, for fun. They didn't have to do it, you know, but they did because it attracted readership. Now, okay, how do you think they make money giving away comics for free? Okay, they built an audience by doing that. You know, if a comic strip was popular, then the real money was when they collected all the comic strips into a book, and that's where they made their money. You know, is when they collected all that stuff into a book. You know, I think that whenever you do something, okay, it's yours forever. Whenever every book that you do, okay, that you complete, that you print, I mean, that you complete is yours forever. Okay. And okay, so you sell 100 copies, right? Okay. But the population of the world was what, 4 billion people, right? So, I mean, that's potentially 3,999,990 potential readers that have not read your book. So you keep at it. You build up, book after book after book, and hopefully, people will like it enough, that you're starting to build your fan base. And then once you build your fan base, then hopefully they'll spread the word about your book. Word of mouth is really still pretty important now, and the more you do, the more attention you can garner. Because, hey, I'm really liking this book. I want to keep supporting it. I'm going to tell my friends about it, and keep going. Now, the direct market is, to me, just another revenue stream. I don't think it's the be all to end all. It's nice to see, your comics in a store, because then it's out to the general public, and it's kind of, you have a good feeling when you go to a comic store, you see your book on the stands, but in the end, that's really should not be the end all to be all.
That's where.
Yes,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. But I was just going to say, but that kind of goes to, and I was going to touch on it when we got to it eventually, but it goes to what Carlos was just saying. Where he was saying that Kickstarter isn't a way to grow your fan base. It's objectively wrong. It's not even a matter of subjectivity. It's objectively false, and we've seen that numerous times with crowdfunding. Whether it is a thing like Eric July with the Reverse, or just being able to grow your fan base in general through crowdfunding and in these other avenues other than the direct market. I've seen that myself. We went from having notebooks, nobody knowing us, throwing up one Kickstarter. And from that one Kickstarter, we're on our 9th title. I'm going to Baltimore Comic-Con in a couple of weeks because we have a Ringo nom. And,
well, that should tell you something. I mean, you're already on your 9th title. Okay, so obviously there's a market out for what you're doing. If you can keep doing it, well, you're already on your 9th issue. So you have 9 issues that are yours forever. If you want to, you could collect them into trade paperback. If you want to, you can reprint them again, over and over and over again. The thing about crowdfunding is that I think a lot of people have lost sight of what crowdfunding was originally intended. Crowdfunding was originally intended so that people would support a project that you wanted to do. But now it's become more or less a market. They sort of expect. They sort of expect a product from you regardless, and that's not what Kickstarter was originally intended, but it's sort of morphed into that now. But it is a great venue to generate income. I mean, not income, that's the wrong word. The revenue so that you can keep producing your product. It's it's like capitalism in its purest form. People support your project because they believe in it and they want it.
Mm-hmm. Direct to consumer is powerful. I mean, all right, hold on. Let me run through some of these. These have been piling up. So Max says there are always rock stars that make tons of money quickly, but most of them are going to stay. But most of us are going to stay on the low end, and we need to accept that.
Yep.
Daphne says the top of Mount Everest is covered with the bodies of people who died of exposure. How do you determine the quality of that exposure between comic shops and Kickstarter? Right, Daphne? I love that, Daphne. Just because you can get more eyes in comic shop doesn't mean it translated to long-term longevity. Being in Walmart has probably killed more small companies than benefited them. Mm-hmm. Carlos says the dream keeps me going. I'm a storyteller, not a lottery player. I do this because I have an ODC and ADD imagination, and I must release that. Now, if I can make money, that's icing on the cake. It's not the impetus. And then Max says comic strips were licensed by the newspapers. They got paid for each that was put out. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we have less and less newspapers, so that money has gone down, immensely. Do
newspapers even have comic strips in them anymore?
Yes, but a similar equivalent, like Webtoons or Global Comics or something else like that, where you can actually,
monetize it.
Yeah, you can not only monetize it, but you can also expose a potentially large amount of readers to your work. Mm-hmm. Yes, granted, maybe you may have to do some things for free in order to generate interest, especially if it's some new project that no one's familiar with. But it's sort of the cost of doing business is that, sometimes you have to give away something in order to entice people to in order to get them to coming back. Like the first one's free. Here, and then hopefully they'll come back for more. They'll become addicted to your work and they'll keep supporting it.
Definitely. Now, all right, let me pass it on to Jay. Jay, it's your turn. You ask your question. Whatever.
All right. We got some well-seasoned individuals here today, right? No one here is a new jack at doing this. No one here is less than a year old doing this. Everybody has some legs underneath them. So you got a lot of legs underneath you, Calderon. You got a lot of legs.
He's a fucking minotaur over there.
But based on
Centipede.
that Ben Dunn said with keeping at it, right? With all of the obstacles we're talking about, with having to learn business, with all of the problems that you may experience in production, in printing, in travel to conventions, right? In poor customer service, in trying to learn customer service, in trying to learn how to be a storyteller, in trying to learn how to be an overall business person and creative person at the same time. What makes you keep at it regardless of all the hurdles?
All right, Tom, you're up.
I can't do anything else. This is it. I can't, if this ended tomorrow, I may as well walk into the lake, right? Because it's done. It's over. This is, comics has always been in my life one way or another. Whether I was collecting or I was running someone else's shop. I owned my own shop for a while. Everything that I've always done has revolved around comics, around art, pop culture in general, of course. But I've done this long enough and rejected the external world long enough that this is all I know how to do now. So, it's basically live or die. And that's a pretty good, it's a pretty good incentive to keep going. But the other side of that coin is that I enjoy doing it. So I enjoy writing the stories that I do. I enjoy seeing the people getting the book and being like, dude, this is such a great book. So there's the I gotta do it, and there's the just I like doing it, and I like the results of doing it. I was thinking about how much I've actually produced in 13 years, and that was with a gap of less production when we were with Aspen, and then we slowed down production when we were with Kickstarter because we were, you can't do 5 issues a month. So everything kind of slowed down. But even in 13 years, we've got 6 volumes of The Legend of Oz. We got 5 volumes of Critter. We've got 3 volumes of Ursa Minor. Like, we've done a lot of work. And to watch that library kind of continue to grow is really, really fun. And so that's really what it comes down to is, it's a really difficult job, but so is every job. Like, every job is difficult. So you choose your difficulties, right? If you decide that you want to work in an office building, your difficulty is you're sitting in a cubicle with a tiny plant and, inputting data all day, which isn't unfamiliar to me because that's basically what I do all day. But you choose your difficulties, and if you don't like the difficulty box that you're in right now, try a different difficulty box, and you might at least enjoy whatever difficulties you have to come into play with a little bit more if you like the result that comes out the other side.
All right. No electrician for Tom.
No one wants me wiring their house. That's a terrible idea. That's a terrible idea. I can rig up your sound system, like your speakers and your TV. That I can do for you. But no. The rest of it, we'll leave that to the professionals.
Nice. So Ben, what keeps you going?
Well, I mean, I agree with Dine. I love it. I just love it. I love the art form. I love the people. I love being able to create something from scratch. I mean, who else, what other job can you do where you just take a piece of paper and a pencil, and create entire worlds, entire universes, entire storylines, that could reach people and, entertain them. I'm not saying that they would change their lives, but it would definitely give, some distraction from the everyday Monday world. And I just love doing it. It's just one of those things I just can't imagine myself doing anything else. So I just kept at it because, like Tom said, it's do or die. It's one of those things. But I just can't see myself doing anything else. But if I can, what I like to do is I also love talking to other creators. I love talking to people who are also in the business. I think the problem I have is that we don't really communicate, as much as we should. I think a lot of, and I've experienced this over the years, is that a lot of creators seem to not be as sociable as they should be, when dealing with the public or, dealing with other creators. They can be kind of gruff at times, and that's fine. I mean, everyone is to each their own, but I find that usually creators who are open and friendly and willing to share experiences, I think that really helps improves the industry, overall. But that's just me.
That's fair. CJ, be nice to the people. They keep telling
I try to.
you. Marvin, what keeps you going, guy?
So, I mean, I guess I'll just piggyback off of Tom when he was saying pick your difficulty level. So we're going to turn this into a video game. So in the 80s, you had a game called Skate or Die. So now it's
Skate or Die. That's right.
Comics or Die.
Write or die.
There you go. Pick your difficulty level. Let's do comics. I mean, it's just like what else am I going to do? Like you say, it's like once you've gotten to the mode of you've been doing it for so long, what else can you do with your time but make comics or play video games or do both? I mean, it's a pretty simple answer. Like you do it because you love it, or else you would just not do it, because if you didn't love it, man, you wouldn't want to deal with all the stuff we have to deal with on a daily basis. Would you?
You can always start a YouTube channel.
That's true.
I'll tell you how to not wire your house. Don't do it this way.
But even doing like the YouTube channel, that's still a lot of dedication, time, and effort.
Yep.
So I mean, it's just where do you want to put your time at? What are you going to get the most out of? And I think doing comics is what I get the most out of. So that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, where else can you, like I said, create entire worlds and characters and build upon that and leave a mark? I mean, once you do a comic book, it's there forever.
Legacy.
This is true. Marcus, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I keep going because I'm a fucking psychopath. That's that's kind of the truth. When it comes to creativity, from the second I ever put a pencil to the page, I knew it was what I wanted to do. So from being 3-4 years old and then learning comic books, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is it. This is the thing. So I'm going to work the rest of my life to get ready to do this. And I took other steps. I got into graphic design, I got into fine art, but it all eventually came back to comics because more so than doing my own stuff or writing my own stories, it's like the collaborative process and the spirit of what making comic books is so unlike anything else that you can really find in any other form of media, probably outside of making movies or something like that. It's almost like that on a smaller scale, and not just being able to bring something into fruition, but the way it mutates and changes, and what it comes from inception, like somebody emailing me an outline for a pitch, and then we work on it, and then a year later it's something real, and it's something that people are reading, they have in their hands, and like it's almost like magic. It's an addicting thing to me, and I think I'm fortunate enough when it comes to the editorial things like that. The process comes very easily to me, thankfully. So internally with Odyssey, like when we work on stuff, it's always fun. It's always fun. It's always collaborative. There's no egos. Like stuff gets done quickly and efficiently, and it brings really just like the fun aspect, like back into making comics. And I found the more I do it, of course, I don't really have time anymore. I stopped like playing a lot of video games and things like that. Not because I dislike or anything, but it's like, I would rather be making comics. I get frustrated with my day job because I'm like, I just want this shit to be over and stop being at this desk and working on spreadsheets so I can get back to making comics. Because, that's what actually like brings me joy. And yeah, it can be hard. It can be even heartbreaking at times, and, laden with disappointment and stuff like that. But when you get that, that thing going and you get over those humps and you make that comic, it's like taking an 8-ball to the face. It's like taking the purest shot of heroin you get your hands on. It's such a dopamine boost, man, and that's what I live for.
I know how that feels.
Experiencing that.
All right, cool. Let me I'm gonna go through some of the chat real quick. Maximo says, an experience as an illustrator and Kickstarter creator, I think is a very great tool that allows you to do those projects and take them to another level. The more you advance, the more people join in. Aaron says, it's always been a form of therapy for me in a way. I have limited control over the real world, but complete control over the worlds I create. Max says, me talking to people is like Tom wiring someone's house. There you go. Daphne is apologizing for blocking somebody. Jesus, stop doing it. Okay. And then Max says, where else can you tell a story for $6,000 that will cost billions in Hollywood? Comics are amazing.
Yep.
And then Travis says, so I can get a quick heroin out to the book Kickstarter heroin. who was giving you the high, right? I'd imagine which one gives him the best high.
Well, Kickstarter will give you that good high in the first 4 or 5 days, and then you come way down before you,
You get
another
roll.
high,
Right.
At the end.
Right.
Well, when it comes down is when you actually have to fulfill it.
Right.
Oh yeah, those withdrawals there, they're rough.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I like doing the fulfillment part. I actually enjoy packing. I actually enjoy packing and shipping books. I don't know.
All right, so JD, you need to come to my house
That's
in
right.
about 3 weeks.
You know what's funny? I got enough of my own books. Thank you.
So you don't like it that much?
Well,
I like
lots
doing
of
buying.
enjoyment
I like
for
doing buying. Listen, we could talk percentages.
Hey, you can walk around the lake with me. This is how it's good.
That would definitely be.
I'll buy you lunch.
It's good.
Buy you lunch. There you go. Pizza, right?
Pizza party.
There you go. I know for myself, Jay, it's look, I think like many other like Tom says, I don't even know what else to do with myself, right? I've been doing it so long. I've been doing it since I was like 15.
Yeah.
Right? I've been writing comic scripts since I was like 8, right? But I've been actually working with artists since I was like 17, maybe. Just love it too much, man. I just love it. It's in my blood, And here's the other thing. I mean, to go back to what Ben says, it's the one thing where I know I could sit down and I could write and I can make something that's going to make money because I've done it. You understand? Whether it be comics or prose, usually prose just being like, just I can sit down and write a prose story and sell it. And I've done that, and I've done that at plenty of conventions. I've done that for years and made money doing that. And comics is just one more step in that process. Even though I started originally as comic books and then it went into prose, but whatever. I mean, but it's a thing whereas I know I can sit down, write, and I can do something that's going to be a lot of fun for me. That I feel a lot of. It's just too good to even describe, right? Like you know, Jay.
Yeah.
You sit there, you create.
Yeah.
You love it.
Yeah.
I mean, So go ahead, Jay.
That's so there and Tom, it's what I know how to do, or at least I thought I did, but I'm a few years away from retirement, so I know how to do something else too. But if it wasn't for that, I'd be doing this full time. And maybe I'm a little bit selfish here, but I'm doing it because of the people that I'm able to bring together with the stuff that I create, right? So here I am, and it's funny. My wife is probably watching this, but she said she only started dating me so she could get free tickets to New York Comic Con, right? That was the worst idea, right? But when you look at that, when I do conventions, I have so many family and friends that are with me at cons, whether it's here in New York with my sister, my brother-in-law, my cousins who are taking pictures, or whether I'm going to other states, and seeing family friends that we just don't get to see as often as we do, right? But here they are, putting their fucking blood, sweat, and tears into a weekend and helping me be successful. But then that's them, and they're also getting together with folks who have never met each other, but are coming together to talk about my books. And all these people are united over the the blank piece of paper that I decided to fill out with a few letters, right? And that selfishness, when it comes back, it gives me that high that Marcus was talking about, right? It makes me feel like, yes, I am leaving an impact, but at the same time, I'm getting to experience that impact with my loved ones around the country, and just having a great time doing it. I mean, who can ask for more than that to help you get over the doldrums of God damn it, I got to do
Sure,
this.
yeah. I mean, and you're leaving a legacy. Okay, the thing is that you are leaving a legacy. Every book you do, okay, every comic that you create, okay, is part of you being being discovered by other people, and that's really what it comes to. So long after we've gone, you're what you've left behind, people can still discover. I mean, who's to say that your comic won't be talked about 100 years from now? They say, and they'll because you left something behind that made an impact, to somebody else, and that's what we're doing. Because if we weren't making an impact, then all we're doing is being self-indulgent. We're just drawing comics to please ourselves, which is fine if that's what you want to do. Okay, but in the end, we do it because not only do we believe in what we're doing, we're hoping that it will resonate with others to the point where they'll support you, monetarily. And this way, by supporting you monetarily, that's telling you make more comics. We want to see more of your story. We want to see more of your creation. And that's really the cycle that you're trying to perpetrate, with what you're doing.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to do too, especially with everything being so global now, even when I'm feeling a little bit down or maybe just trying to get over the hump or something, I look at where all of our sales for Odyssey have been going to. Ship all through the same revenue or same avenue, whether it's Kickstarter or direct sales that I'll put through the website or anything like that. And it's like, wow, there's somebody reading this comic in Switzerland. There's somebody reading it in Japan. Yeah. Someone in Korea has it. Someone in freaking Jakarta has it. Like when that really like dawns on you, it just changes your whole perception. Sometimes you feel like maybe you're not getting there, maybe you're not having the level of success you want to, but in the day, that's powerful. To have something that could be anywhere in the world and people are fucking with it like that. It's like that I think every time that I get down in the dumps a little bit, or I'm like, maybe, I'll put things on pause for a little bit to sort of reconnect with everything. I do that. And then sometimes seeing the same person come back, there's one young lady who's a big fan of us on Kickstarter. She comes and she backs every single project, backs it physically, usually with multiple books. And every time I'm printing out, new labels for stuff, her name is on every single thing. And it's like, I went ahead and messaged her and concept like, hey, I'm going to send you some extra stuff just because I appreciate your support and everything so much. It's one person, but like,
that's customer service, Marcus.
Yeah, that's it. But it's awesome just to see stuff like even if it is just one person who is like always supportive and who is truly like enjoying your stuff.
See, but
that's as good as selling 100 books to me. Is that one person coming back every single time?
Well, I mean, you got to keep the lights on too, though.
You got to get the lights on. Yeah, I do like that portion of it.
Now, hold on. Talking about keeping the lights on. This guy,
he's such a bad producer. He really.
Hold on. Segue into something, JD.
Yeah, I know it's coming, goddamn.
Look at that.
Yep.
It's all right. It's all right.
But Calderon, ask him if you could play the video.
There's no video. Video.
Who
does the videos anymore? Seriously.
Yeah.
No one watches that stuff.
Right. So Tom, you got 8 days left. You're at 17K. You're a pro. I don't even know what to say to you.
We've suffered through week 2. I never want to do week 2 again unless it's the final week. I'm over the 3-week campaign now officially. I got over the 4-week campaign. I am now officially over the 3-week campaign. We're going to 2 weeks for like everything now, unless it's like some huge number that we need.
I did 5, and I'm punching myself in the stomach every day.
Yeah.
It's the worst. It's the worst. It's the worst.
That
I
seems to
kind
be
of
the
had
trend
to
now.
because I was on vacation for a period of it. I'm like, I gotta launch a Kickstarter, but I won't be able to. Have
That seems to be. I talked to a lot of guys who do crowdfunding. It seems to be the trend now to do 2 weeks because there's enough campaigns out there. You can actually do metrics on how the campaigns do within the first week and the last week. And it really comes down to just 2 weeks, the first and the last. So
well, just as an example, right? So in the first week we did $16,871. That was the first week. So now here we are a week later, and we're only up another $300.
You know what I got to say to that first week of $16,000.
Yeah. How
Why
many hours?
you did that in 1 week? $300 in the second week.
Now you know how he gets his sachet around that lake.
plus you have to build in
It's
that,
the $16,000 lake, Jay. You got to be.
You have to take into account that 2 week wait for your money to come in.
High rollers only.
Yeah. So it's and here's the thing, like the second week, it wasn't even like we didn't get backers, because we did. We kept growing. But at the same time, in that second week, we had people dropping out. We had people dropping down their pledge. Like if they had 200, maybe they dropped down to 125 or whatever. So it was always this horrible balancing act every single day of, hey, we're up. Oh, now we're down. Hey, we're up. Oh, now we're down. And so over the course of a week, we ultimately made $300 in 7 days overall. So it's like, now that's not to say that if you do a 2 week campaign, some of those guys won't still drop or, whatever, but you have a more of an intensity when it's like, hey, we did a week. Oh shit, it ends in a week now, instead of this lull in the middle that happens every time to everyone.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's really, unless you, like you say, you want a large number, then I can understand a long campaign.
Yes.
But if you know what you think you're going to do, then you might as well focus on actually getting. If you time it right, you could actually get a book like once every other month, and just keep pumping it out, and then people just get into the habit of it. They'll just say, "Oh, well, he's going to do another book in 2 months, so I'm going to be ready for it."
That's
so
right.
You just do that. Over and over again.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it to every 6 weeks.
Yeah, that works.
6 weeks is good. That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I had a lot of success last time with I think we did 25 days for the campaign. So it's my first time doing a shorter one, and I think that was our highest backer total.
Sometimes there's an urgency. If they know that it's only going to be a 2 week campaign, I better back it right now or it's too late.
That's right.
Sometimes you got to do 4 weeks. I got time.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. These things now are treated like game shows, right? And that's the part that kind of bugs me. It's like, hey, we're always talking about our money and our backer count and all this kind of stuff, but it's like, for me, all I want to do is sell books, man. Like I just want you guys to enjoy the books. I don't want to be out here screaming about dollars every day, screaming about, we need 4 more backers to get to some, thing. Like I want people to just want it because they want it. And that's a really hard thing to do in today's market, because everything is just so hyper saturated with, video and TikTok things and, 8-second attention spans and so on. So it's really difficult. And you got to really, you either have to buy into all of that and go hype all the time. Or you just got to kind of find your niche in this game show world of like, who am I focusing on? And for me, I chose really honestly to focus on our readers primarily than the people that I know for a fact only come to our campaigns if we have like one specific artist. Like I've seen it endless times. This guy comes in, this guy backs. If that guy's not in the campaign, that guy's not backing me. So I'm like, let me focus on these core 300 people that we have, get them a great book, make them happy for reading whatever it is that they're reading, and build slowly off of that, rather than just running around chasing, trying to get whoever to come in and give me some sort of spark that isn't really about me. It isn't about the book. It isn't about the character. It's just about that artist. I'd rather leave those sparks elsewhere and create a different sort of zone for the people that are actually reading the books and enjoying them. And I know who they are because I know who comes in and out of these things because I get the names, man. I've got the list. I know who's coming in on certain books because it's the book. I know who's coming in on certain artists because it's the artist. And on this campaign, we already have 41 brand new people that have never backed a Big Dog Ink book before. So that's awesome. So if you're going to, again, we were talking about growing your audience. I have 41 brand new people that have never bought a Big Dog Ink book on this campaign already. That's growing your audience.
That's right. You're establishing your brand. You're creating confidence that not only will they be entertained by what you're producing, but you're reliable.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting your books out, because the worst thing you can do on a campaign is not fulfill your campaign, and not communicate. You obviously show that you care about your customers and that you your backers, and that you are, you keep them up to date on everything. Another thing the mistake a lot of first time Kickstarter campaigners do is they don't communicate, and they don't answer every single inquiry or question. I mean, you're going to get a lot of them. I'm sure you get your backers messages you all the time asking this, that, but the good thing is that if you deal with them directly and in a timely fashion, they'll be your supporters for life.
Yep, and they'll be that much easier on the next campaign too. It's
exactly.
I think the longer you did, the less questions come back to you. As long as you're communicating and updating people, then pretty much the only time backers will really be reaching out to you is like, hey, I got the book, or hey, I read it. That was great. That was cool. As long as they know where they're along in the timeline, then
and when you're ready with your next campaign, they'll be ready for you.
Yep.
Yeah, most of the time now when I get questions or stuff, it's usually from new people, and they're like, tell me what I need to do here, or tell me what these books are and what I need to get. Because everyone else, we've been doing this now for almost 7 years, so everyone else kind of gets it. But the new folks, the new people that are new to us, are like, hey, tell me about what I need to do here, and I'm like, yeah, start here, go here, whatever, and they're like, awesome, let's go. So yeah.
Sometimes
251 backers, man.
251. We got
251.
So we'll end a week from tomorrow. We wrap it up next Monday night.
Very nice.
And you're funded.
Yep. Funded.
Just a little bit. He's okay.
He's a little bit overfunded. He's good.
He's doing all right.
Yeah.
He's doing all right.
Now,
listen, he needs more time around that lake. That's all.
Really quickly, do you think, Tom, you think you would have hit that number in the direct market?
What number? $16,000 in?
Yeah.
No, not a chance in hell. No, because let's say you were to sell on the high side of things, right? And you sold like 2,000 units as an indie publisher, 2,000 units. Yeah. If you sold 2,000 units and your cover price is $5 and you're getting half of that, which you won't, but let's say you get half of that, that's $5,000 to sell 1,000 units. Just simple math. So not even close. Yeah. Not even close.
All right. So now we got critical mass.
Oh, what's this? That image looks familiar. I don't know where I've seen it before.
I don't know. It has a nice cover.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, shout out to Gabriel Silva, and this is something that we're kind of keeping in our back pocket for it. Pro tip for some people who are doing Kickstarters for the first time to combat that mid-period slowdown. I typically always try to keep like something to reveal at the 50% mark or close to it once we go into it, and the fourth variant or the third variant cover, the fourth cover. Was something that I really wanted to put out there.
Cool. I mean,
I'll tell you real quick. That's not a terrible strategy. It's something that we've done in the past. Mm-hmm. But as we've grown, we've almost grown out of that at this point. Yeah. Because what we have is, and that's why we have the big first days, is we have garnered this audience that's just coming in like, just give me all the shit at the beginning so I don't have to worry about it anymore. So we almost never have like middle thing because we were still doing it for a while and it just wasn't ticking. But we took that middle thing and we're like, well, we're going to do this cover, but let's just throw it at the beginning. And we just it immediately was like, oh shit, like there's more to buy, and like it was crazy. So that is a strategy that everyone should attempt and see what the results are. But for us, over time, we managed to grow out of it, and it just doesn't, like we said, with this $300 in a week, right? We actually had an addition in our second week, and we still only did $300 in the second week. So,
and for sure, if I was getting 16K on my first day, I wouldn't be holding anything close to the best.
First week. That was the first week. That was
first week.
If that was the first day, holy shit, man, that would be
out
amazing.
of your chair.
Yeah.
He did 11K in his first day. That's what he did.
Oh, small potatoes.
Yeah.
But here we did see a nice uptick. I think we're at 45% before the additional reveal, and now we're sitting at 55%. So we did get a nice boost over just a couple day period. So we're getting down to the last 2 weeks. We really want to be further ahead of it, but Kickstarter algorithm is kind of playing weird with the things right now. So right now we're kind of like going through almost purely just on the power and the strength of getting the word out about the book and getting on social media and just trying to get it in front of as many eyes as possible. But we're well on our way. Looks like everything's going to get funded, and I really just want to keep trying to push so that we can get that extra content there, get extra awards, get the extra music track, get the extra 8 pages of comics too. And there, I know that one's probably out of scope because that happens at like the 200% funding mark, but never say never. But right now, everybody's really stoked on it. We've been getting great reception and feedback from the backers on the project, and if Critical Mass is going to continue, I know it's going to be annual at the very least, but I would love to do 2 volumes of Critical Mass per year. And I think we have enough on the back burner too that we'd be able to, if we could get this one funded, do a second volume of Critical Mass by December.
Nice.
Very cool. You got what, 15 days left?
Yep, 15 days left, so still a lot of time. As you see the new cover we got right there. So that one is now at a tier all on its own, and it's available as a discounted add-on for all the people who have already backed but would also like that cover. They could go ahead and add to their pledge for a lower amount, or feel free to. We've seen a good number of people switch their pledges to where that one came out and they're like, oh, now we want to ditch the regular cover A and we'll go ahead and jump on to cover D now too.
Nice. Did you add an extra $5 to it?
Add an extra $5 to the cover, yes.
Oh, there you go.
So
See?
this one's 20. The other one was the regular one's 15.
Gotcha. Cool. I mean, listen, that's it'll get you a few more shekels in it. That's what you got to do. How many different creators do you have in here as far as artists and writers?
Whew. In total, if we count all the features and everything too, 28, about 28, 30.
Wow.
If you count the musicians, then it goes up to 35, 34.
Gotcha. Now, this is new. You're printing with Print Ninja. So you're printing overseas. How did you... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to print overseas with this one because with it being an anthology, it's a bigger, it's thicker book. Doing it domestically, we will need a lot more funding, probably an additional $1,500 to $1,700. So to being able to print overseas has allowed us to drop down our funding goal to make sure that we get this done quickly.
Can I ask a question on that? Did they pay for that space there, or did you just do it on your own?
I did it on my own. It's not something they compensated for. They support the project, and of course they try to market it and everything too. But there's no exchange of money or anything like that.
Well, that's actually an interesting idea, to be honest. I mean, do you think people would actually pay to advertise on your Kickstarter?
I would hope so. That'd be a great new revenue stream. One idea that I know my friend David Dole did on his comic Little Deaths was that he actually had a tier where you could buy an advertising page in his book. And I think that was pretty successful for him in that campaign. So I think that was pretty cool. I was thinking about possibly doing it this one too, but once we had like the special cassettes and everything, I was like, okay, I could put like a really cool like top tier package together so that it's not just like, oh hey, send me your page or whatever the case. Like, it's going to be something more special and tactile. You get a cassette tape that's one of 6 in existence. So I think that sort of exclusivity is something that's really cool for people.
Well, I mean, another thing is that Kickstarter had no problem putting their ad there.
No, usually they seem to actually kind of, if anything, I think kind of urge people to share more with like where the book is going to be coming from, who's going to be handling the printing, who's going to be handling that thing. So usually we go with like Comics Wellspring as one of our go-to printers. 9 times out of 10, I buy books from them. We also have a couple other people locally that we go to for like smaller batch runs and our exclusives and our variants. So things are usually getting distributed in different kinds of ways. And sometimes if I think it's going to be a significant weight or something else, and a lot of times I'm very eager just to get the books myself, I'll go ahead and have small batches like ready to go, and some that can go to backers immediately while the larger quantities start falling in. Because sometimes when you put in those big orders, it could take a little bit longer to get them than usual. I tried my best not to keep the backers like dangling too long for those.
Well, I mean, it's and I'm just getting my wheels turning here. Is that if if you use a particular printer and they're willing to give you like a discount or by you having promoting their services, I mean that may get drum up more business for them, because I'm sure a lot of people would see that and say, oh, he's getting his book printed by Print Ninja or whatever, and then I mean I could see that possibly being a thing.
Well, yeah, for sure. That's actually something Comics Wellspring does a lot too. They'll offer you a discount if you run your fulfillment through them on your order. They also have a really cool rewards program too. So as you do more orders with them, you also get rebates and coupons and special discounts that you use from your awards to put towards your next batch, and get your orders down by $50 here, $100 here, but that adds up.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. That's very interesting. I never even thought about that.
No, it's really cool. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, Marcus, I mean, you say you're 55% there, so you got 151 backers. Got another 15 days. I think you're well on your way.
Yes, I want to really do it because I really would like for this to be a success, because my ideal goal is for Critical Mass to kind of spin off from Odyssey and become its own imprint and give us an avenue to tell more science fiction, more harder edge stories, and also diversify what we're able to do and bring some more people into the fold, because I sure as hell can't run both of them myself. So I would love to have like a separate team going for just Critical Mass and another editor chief, another editorial staff. Hopefully somebody can do fulfillment too, and be able to expand and get more stuff out there and get more opportunities to independent creators and try to continue to make good on our 365 24/7 pledge of accepting submissions and developing things.
All right, cool. All right, I'm just gonna share out these two things very quickly, because I don't know how to do this. All right, so I got a couple of campaigns up. So this is coming up very soon. I guess probably a week from Monday, I'll be launching the next Oswald Chronicles campaign. We just finished packing up the last packages. I think they're going in the mail tomorrow, and that'll be that. And then we're going to be on to this one. So this is one more story in the bank. And then also,
so you got to slow down. I still got some in my read pile over here. It's getting thick.
Listen, unfortunately, there is no slowing down. And then there's this is another title I'm working on with C. Michael Lanning. This is Magi's Grace, Sex and Monsters. This was going to be a little bit more spicy, not what I'm, I guess, known for through the Oswald Chronicles. But, something a little bit more spicy, monster hunters, sorcerers, that sort of thing, or sexy sorcerers, I should say.
Well, the title sort of says it all there, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
This is just the comic adaptation of Shape of Water.
I wonder what this comic is about.
Well, yeah. So, I wanted to put it out on Front Street. There it is, nice and simple.
I mean,
you don't have to think about it too hard.
It could be the title of a porn, Maggie Grace, Sex and Monsters. I'm
The
just
direct
saying.
approach.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is,
I think Axel Braun made that one.
I was talking to Jay quite often about this, and I figured I had to direct it to this type of mentality. Very simple. Make it very simple.
Sometimes the direct approach is the best.
Yep.
Exactly. And then the fact that he called it Maggie and that Magi, which is the way it's pronounced, just lets me know the type of individual that I'm dealing with.
Listen, I'm a New Yorker. We say things our own way. Okay? It's not Houston, it's Houston. Okay? I'll do this all day, baby. Give me something, I'll give you the difference.
Right. Now,
Okay.
I'm a New Yorker as well.
Yeah.
And,
No, you're not.
Don't
Dude,
even,
you own like 6 houses. Nobody in New York. No.
I wish I owned 6 houses. Shit.
Yeah, but are any of them on a lake?
Are you guys going to the New York Comic Con?
I'm sorry?
I said, are any of you going to the New York Comic Con?
Yep, I'll be there. Booth 1948 in small press.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Jay was really cool. He's giving me half his booth.
Son of a bitch. No.
Oh, nice.
Oh, he's giving me the other half.
The fuck I am.
Yes, that's
Wait,
the person I wanted to sit next
Did you
to.
pay him, Tom?
I mean, you guys can come and drink at my booth. I will have whiskey there to enjoy.
No, dude. If I drink at your booth, it's gonna be vomiting on your booth.
Listen, I already know how you operate at the booth. You're not even there. It's going to be your
This
wife.
is
She
true.
does all the work.
Yeah, this is true. I can't even deny it, man. This is the truth. Now, we went through all that stuff. Thank you guys. You guys were awesome. Marcus, your question.
My
You're
question.
up.
Okay.
Your question.
Since we were discussing this entire theme of the direct market, and I know we had some prior conversations in the green room before the show started, but do you think there is a collaborative way for indie comic creators and publishers to coalesce and join forces together in order to make an avenue?
No. No.
This is always
No.
a fun one to ask.
No.
Wait, hold on. We need to give this one to Ben. He's the one that's been around the longest. Ben, what are your thoughts on that question?
For a collaborative effort with publishers to do what? To create its own direct market? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
I mean, anything's possible. You have enough money, into it. The fact of the matter is, most small publishers just are not making the kind of money that would be necessary to create such a venture. I mean, honestly, I don't think there's enough comic book shops out there, all alone, to actually support. A venture like that. I mean, if we were like in the old, like Tom was saying, the old days where we had 10,000, comic book stores out there. Yeah, it might be possible, but it just doesn't seem like it'd be worth the effort and the return, to do that kind of thing. And I honestly think that if I had enough money, I would reintroduce spinner racks to stores again, like Walmart. I would have people go there and say, look, a spinner rack takes like what, 2 square feet, I mean, not even 1 square feet of your retail space. And if you can convince them that a spinner rack could generate this much revenue in that small space, then you may be able to get a spinner rack at every Walmart in the country, and then, look at that, would be a huge reach, and then you price your comics so that they're 99 cents or $1, so it's an impulse buy again, where I guarantee you, if you have a spinner rack where kids can see it, every kid in the world is going to want to go over there and take a look at those comics. I mean, because kids still like to read, and you have all those, magazines with bright colors and enticing titles and things like that. And it's $1. What parent won't spend $1 to keep their kid quiet, reading a comic for the next hour, and they're reading, that's another thing that'd be a big advantage. I mean, like I said, if I had the money, I'd do that. I'd have salespeople go out there and say, look, we're going to create this. We'll give you the spinner racks, we'll supply the comics, and then you make deals with publishers and say, look, if you want a space on the spinner rack, provide us material to put on there, and you make deals with them so that they provide you material.
Can I refine that a little bit, Ben?
Sure.
Okay, so instead of a spinner rack, you take a clip strip. I don't know if you guys know what a clip strip is.
Oh yeah, I work with Walmart all the time. They fucking
okay. So you know that thin plastic strip that they usually hang batteries from.
Mhm.
All right, that's a clip strip, right? You get a clip strip. You don't need it. You don't need a spinner rack. Clip strips. If you buy it in bulk, I mean, you're paying maybe 2 pennies for a clip strip. You send it into Walmart or you sell it to Walmart as a case, like you're selling a case of chips. All right, but it has the clip strip already involved. Your books are poly bagged. All right, with a little tab in there or a little hole in there for you to hang it on the clip strip, and you hang it in the potato chip rack. All right, or you hang it in one of the most well-trafficked areas of the store, so that way it has the opportunity to become that impulse buy. Because hey, who doesn't want to get a bag of chips and a comic book? All right, now,
yeah, it's a good idea.
not taking up the space, or you don't need to have not just a sales rep, but you don't need to have somebody going to the store to pack it out. Because that's one of the things with Walmart, right? That's part of their plan. They're not paying for their staff to pack out your product. So you have to have the staff to go out there to do that and set that out. And if people think I'm bullshitting over here, I don't know how many people follow Mr. Beast, all right? But he's a big YouTube celebrity. I mean, one of the biggest. He just had his Willy Wonka chocolate element out there, and he's not paying for his own people to pack them out. He's telling the viewers of his programs, hey, when you see that, just set up the shelf for us nicely and take a picture and we'll send you XYZ. All right. So Walmart is not going to pay for their staff to pack out your products. You're going to have to do it yourself. So with a clip strip, you hang that up there. You're in a well-trafficked area and you're doing it like a bag of chips. You're selling it polybagged, because if they want to talk about returnability, all right, you'll take back the returnability on a poly bag as long as it's not open. And I lost him. Did I chase away Ben? Did he get
Yeah, he's not interested in your bullshit.
I feel like I did. I'm throwing him gold, maybe from a retail background.
So
He
a few
saw
things.
you and all he heard was potato chips.
Yeah. So a few things right off the bat. Number one, the spinner rack is the better idea simply because it's a visual thing. There's those hanging shits are just all over. Well, that's like, who cares?
They are, yes.
So the spinner rack actually becomes a visual cue, right? Especially if it's put in the right spot in their book section or whatever.
Okay.
So in my brain that makes more sense. Now you could modify that to just have clip strips in the book section, so it's taking up less space. That's certainly a thing. When you're talking about putting these things in key spots, Walmart makes you pay for key spots. Like these marketing places like Target and stuff, like if you want to be in a zone, you got to be like, yeah, you can pay us and we'll put you in that zone over there. So there's going to be extra money if the more specific places you want to be that you want to get seen. So that's something you'd have to worry about. But then the other thing is does nobody remember that this already happened?
They happened with the winglets.
I don't know what winglets means.
So all right,
but there was a comic book publisher that actually they actually went through Indiegogo, made $150,000, scammed all of their backers, and used the money to put their comics in Walmart. This is not a joke.
You're talking about Red Rooster, right?
All that stuff. Yeah.
So a winglet is when you look at an end cap, right? The end of an aisle, all right? The sides of the end of the aisles are called wings, right? Okay. So that's a wing cap. So they had to pay for the extra money, not just for the books, but for the cardboard display that will be hung out on the winglet, right?
Yep.
And the only reason why I suggested a clip strip is because, I mean, the amount of money you're paying for a clip strip and place a little sticker on the top of it so you can have branding is
Yeah.
because it's a hell of a lot more money, less money, to ship than a cardboard rack and a metal spinner rack.
Absolutely. That's all 100%. You're 100% accurate. Yeah. But the point is that, again, this has been done and it failed miserably. Now,
because they didn't have the people pack it out also.
They didn't have the product. Here's the thing. The product matters, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're just coming out here and going, here's a bunch of shit that you've never heard of, nobody cares. Like, I literally was watching as they put the books up on the racks, because they had them in my Walmart, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Let's watch what's happening. Nothing sold next week, nothing sold next week, nothing sold. Issue 2's out. All of a sudden the rack is just overflowing. Nobody cares. But then when DC and Marvel did it, and they came in and they put their packs of, I don't know, it was like pack of 10 or something. They were selling packs of 10. Those things were flying off the shelf. The problem there is that was just all the collectors buying them up. But so by the time anybody that was just casual got in there, that shit was already gone. Right. So there's pluses and minuses, there's yeses and nos to the whole idea of getting into the mass marketplaces.
Well, here's what I would suggest. I mean, yes, they did try that, but I think the biggest problem they had was that they were a single company with a single product, and they didn't put out enough product on a regular basis, and the price point was too high. It was like $4 to $5 a book, and no parent in the world is going to pay $5 for a comic book, okay, and for their kid to ruin, in less than an hour. Yeah. Okay? The thing about it is that the spinner rack was specifically designed so that the bottom tier of the spinner rack would be for little kids, and the top tier of the spinner rack would be for older kids. Okay, so that and if you, but I don't know this for sure, but I think that if they were priced at $1, okay, each comic was priced at $1, okay, it would be less. I mean, you could for $5 you get 5 comics, which is the cost of one of those books, like Red Rooster was offering. Okay, so and $5 these days is nothing. Okay, so a parent would say, oh yeah, okay, pick out a couple of comics and take them home with you. $1 or $2 spend is not a big deal, but if thousands of parents do that, okay, then that's where the big money adds up. And the thing about it is you can reprint older material, right? Okay, and how many publishers have there been? There's hundreds of publishers. Okay, you go to individual creators. I go to you and say, look, do you want to have a spot on our spinner rack? Okay, provide us the material, and we'll give you a spot on the spinner rack. And this is where you can make deals with publishers and creators on an individual basis. And this way you have variety, you have a constant flow of material. Okay, you can also mix up genres. It doesn't have to be all superheroes. You can have science fiction, you can have funny animals, you can have superheroes, you can have westerns, you can have romance, so you have a huge mix of genres and titles, so that every kid who comes along who sees it will find something that they'll like. And at $1 spend, it's not going to be a big. What you do is you make up the money in volume. You try to sell, hundreds of thousands.
But then that volume means you have to pay for that volume up front.
Exactly. Right. Well, yeah, you're right. Okay, you have to pulp all the unsold merchandise, and that's where you have to come in and say, well, this book isn't selling, so you get to cancel the book. I mean, that's where you have to do your business thing. And that's what it was in the old days. That's what Marvel and DC did. And that's why they're collectible now, because people didn't give a shit about comics. It was disposable entertainment. Okay, and so they didn't take care of them. It's only when the collector market started to become more prevalent that comics started to increase in value as a collectible and less as disposable entertainment. What I propose is bringing back disposable entertainment. Okay, and that's the way you can reach as many people as possible. And create a new. That's if I had the money. If I was Elon Musk, if I had fuck you money, that's what I would do.
But Ben, isn't that where the digests can come in as well? Because again, I'm just trying to look at
exactly
decreasing the business expenses, right? Mm-hmm. Because the digests are right there at the checkout on the gun rack, can be placed right along there. They're 4x6. right? They are disposable. They're on newsprint, and you can reprint older titles, and it's directly targeted to the younger generation, which we're trying to get. So you can, at newsprint, charge a lesser amount. But it all comes back to convincing the
you'd have to have a
location
sales force
that
to do that.
right, that they're going to be able to sell our product.
You'd have to have a dedicated distribution system. That's the problem, is that takes a lot of money and a lot of manpower because, Marvel and DC, they didn't distribute their own books. Okay, they had a regional.
Oh, lost Ben there.
Yeah.
Yep.
To Marvel and DC, well, you sold X number of books, and there's your check. So that's how that used to work. So I don't know if that would work out. I if you could actually bring back, that kind of impulse buy with the kids again. I mean, that's really how you're going to grow. Is that you've got to it's got to be a generational thing. Where the kids grow up reading comics, and then they grow up and they have kids, and then they pass on the habit of reading comics to their kids. The problem is that we haven't switched generations. The generations that are growing up now are not growing up reading comics. They're reading manga and they're reading stuff on their phones. So they're no longer in the habit of actually going out and buying comics on a regular basis.
I don't know, because I bought my nephew a Miles Morales digest, which reprinted those first Ultimate issues, right? And the kid he's all over Miles Morales. He wants to know, and this was way before the movie was even announced.
That's great. That's great.
I got him down the rabbit hole. So it's not just the manga and the webtoons. It's what are we doing to also introduce the medium to the younger generations, our nieces or nephews or neighbors' kids, stuff like that.
Well, I mean, we can't afford. Yeah, go ahead.
We're going a little far afield because now we're starting to move over this direction. So I just want to get Marvin's input before we move on.
What was the question?
The question, now that we're 20 minutes removed from it, was whether independent publishers could find their own individual or collective avenue into the direct market, having their own direct market.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember Tom immediately saying, "Hell no."
No.
Oh, you mean like make their own image? Is that what you mean?
Well, not their own image, but like literal distribution, like centralized direct market distribution.
Right. Well, I mean that the independent publishers creating. I mean, we've most of us have been around long enough to know that this has happened at least 3 or 4 times that since I've been doing comics, that someone has tried to set up an independent distribution center. I think they usually last 6 months to a year before the crippling weight of no money just wipes the whole thing out. Because like you said, that again, why would a retailer want to deal with someone that they haven't worked with before? And what's their incentive? What are the incentives I have as a retailer to deal with another distribution point that doesn't have, again, what Batman, Superman, Wolverine, X-Men, Captain America, Avengers in their lineup? I mean, it comes down to flexibility, understanding, and being able to put your boots on the ground. Someone mentioned the ambassador thing. Aftershock was doing that.
Yeah.
And they did a presentation at Comics Pro back in February. And I believe their business was up 20% because of the ambassadors.
And they still can't pay anybody?
Yeah. Well, I mean, 20% is good, but where's the money going?
That's what I'm saying, right? That's a perfect example of hey, we're doing all this stuff, except we're not paying anybody shit.
Right. And I know one of the newer publishers, Band of Bards, was looking for a street team. So I understand in that, because I know quite a few people who were on Aftershocks brand ambassadors, and I've seen them in the stores here in Pittsburgh, And I always wondered, like, what do you really get out of that? And they get money, they get swag. Well, they don't get money, they get swag. But you have to have someone in every state to be able to handle the volume of that. And if you're saying every state, that's 100 people at least, to be an ambassador to your product on the streets and in the stores, other retailers. I mean, you've got to start hitting other retailers. You're losing comic shops at a very high clip now. So you lose 10, you gain 5. That's not enough. You're eventually going to be to the point where you're going to be under 1,000 stores. Like I think you're at 2,200 right now about. But I mean, what do you do once you're under 1,000? That 17% that Valiant was talking about when there were 10,000 stores is going to shrink to what, 2%?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, what are your options? You have to expand. You have to do what, like Ben said, you have to in some kind grab that newer audience. Like at cons, like I see a lot of younger people buying comics. A lot of younger people buy my comic at cons. Are they buying them in stores? As far as when I see, yes, when I'm in the stores locally, I can see them buying them. But I don't know what's happening at these other stores though. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't get reports back. Like it's a closed loop when you're working, especially when you're working with Diamond, of no communication. Like the only way I know is if I'm doing direct to a store, or if I see them do a video. That's the only way I know they bought the book. How do I know?
I mean, the Diamond used to do like a top 300 list to show what the sales were, but they stopped doing that. So
they still do it. They still do it, but you got to pay to see it now. Yeah, you have to pay to see it.
Those bastards.
Right. But
with Diamond or Comic-Con?
Right. Yeah.
Well, ICV3 does the list, and it's now the Diamond Top 500 in order to get actual small publishers on the list because they're so low. Mm-hmm. So it's the Diamond Top 500. But again, it used to be you could just go in and look at it, but I think it was about 4 years ago, they put it behind a paywall. So now if you want to see numbers, you got to pay for it.
Right. And then
is it my ICV2?
Yeah.
Oh.
So as a publisher, it's to my benefit to know who's buying my stuff.
Of course it is. Because we also want to reward those retailers.
But you can't. How do you know?
Right.
I have no idea. Like I said, that unless they reach out to me directly, or unless I'm dealing with them directly, which I do, like 250 stores I deal with directly out of the 2,200 that exist. So I'm again in that 17 percentile of who I'm reaching. But like I said, unless they do a YouTube video or they have some kind of internet presence, and on that Wednesday when books come out, hey, we've got new books out, and they say, oh, we've got The Edge. And I'm like, holy crap, I need to reach out to the store that's not on my list. I have no idea. I mean, it's a gap and it's a hole, and it doesn't benefit me at all.
And that's that closed loop, right? Because not only does ICV2 has that paywall, I mean, I remember Marvin, you telling me that when you try to reach out to Diamond to get that information, they said, no, that's proprietary information.
Yeah, they won't give it up.
Yeah, because they don't want you dealing direct. They don't want you dealing direct with the retailer. That's right. All that comes.
But I mean, it helps them and it helps me, because even if I am not going to go direct to that store, I can get them swag, I can get them posters, I can get them pens, I can get them junk, anything I can get them to benefit me, benefits Diamond.
Yep.
So
yeah, the Diamond used to do that. They you used to be able to send them. Of course, you had to pay for it, but you could send them point of sale posters and things like that, and they would actually put them into the retailer pack that they would send out.
But you couldn't specify it, right? You couldn't say these 200 people. It's just you have to send it to everybody,
right?
And that's fine to be sending it to everybody, except that I'm sending it to stores that don't give a damn.
Well, yeah, but at least they get something. They may consider it. The thing is that if they get a free poster advertising your book, they may look at it and say, because it comes with the retailer pack, they may look at it and say, "Oh, this looks kind of cool. Maybe I will order it." Yeah. Other than just looking at the catalog and them skipping right over it. Right. A point of sale poster does have some benefit. It is expensive though. That's the problem. Right. And then you have to do like the cost benefit analysis of, is it worth spending? Of course, back then Diamond had like 3 or 4, 5,000 accounts. So you had to print a lot of posters,
Right.
to reach the. But apparently, it was a good spend for a lot of publishers because they sent out a lot of posters, and
Well, just to add on top of that, like this past when they did the Diamond Summit recently, they did request like video packages to send to the show to show retailers, and they pretty much stole that directly from Comics Pro. So
Well,
they
have to grow somehow.
Yeah, they're always starting to rip off Comics Pro. This is why they moved away from it. But to go back and actually answer Marcus' question that he asked, I'd say probably realistically no, because of egos,
Yes. 100%.
communication problems,
Yes.
Funny.
and no one wanting to follow someone else's lead.
Yes. Oh, 100%. 100 fucking percent. Listen, let's pull back the veil for a second, okay? Calderon, Marvin, and I have a nice little group where we share information with each other. And I'm gonna tell you, I love the guys. I love them both, right? I will give them as much as I can because I know they'll do the same for me. As that is also being said, the three of us cannot work together in that unit that you're trying to specify. And for most people, it's there's too many chefs in the kitchen, right? For us, it's just, you know what? We have different objectives. We do. There's different things we want to achieve. And we will support each other without tearing each other's buildings down. But unfortunately, each one of our objectives doesn't line up with the others, right? So take that to the rest of the community out there, all right? Where the three of us do get along. Try to apply that with people who are just meeting up with each other or don't get along at all, So no.
Now to piggyback on that, Jay, let me ask a follow-up question. Then I think
Wait, so hold on, Marcus. Let me jump in real quick. All right, let me jump in real quick because here's the thing: it's difficult, but doable. Now, not for the whole thing about selling books. My thing is always about trying to save money producing books, right? My thing is about Jay's smacking his face because he knows what I'm talking about, right? That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Because I've told you I've been ready for that, but
I know. Well, I'm not ready yet, right? When I'm ready, I'll let you know. But listen, it's also available to you if you want to put together a group. Feel free, right? Now, my point is that when we had a situation, we got a bunch of publishers together, and we were able to print 9 books, 3,000 of each, 27,000 books. Got it to a publisher during COVID, right? And we got those books at 65 cents each. If I was able to get those books to them 3 months earlier, it would have been 55 cents each. This is when the paper prices was really going up. Okay, so and the guy had told me if I had gotten it in like 2 months,
they were 32 page full color.
Yeah, 32 page with a cover, so it's 34, 36 pages, whatever, full color, saddle stitch, whatever. But it's my thing is about saving money on that end. Right, because I agree with Ben. We have to try to bring down the price of comics because we know. I mean, I see printers now. What is 3,000 books for $1 almost, or like 85 cents maybe? Right, Jay? What are you looking at
for 2,000 units? Tom uses them too. I think I paid $1.10, and that included my shipping charge.
All right. Well, I guess that's not
impressions. Yeah.
Tom, what are your thoughts?
That's not who I use. I use a larger
Or did
publisher.
you use them? I'm sorry.
I don't use no. I mean, I use multiple publishers for multiple things. When we do like our foils and stuff, they go to one publisher, and we do our regular runs at another one. And we're actually printing right now, just like Marcus was talking about. We're printing our trade paperbacks overseas now because the printing of those things, even in quantity, is like, holy shit, like what just happened here? This is crazy. Yeah. So, we had to go find a different route for that. But it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely the idea of if you can band together to print a shitload of books, the price can come way down. But again, the problem is organizing 9 dudes to do that all at the same time.
I've done it.
How many times?
Once. And
Once.
it was
I did it once, ready to do it a second time, but I had to pull the plug to make sure nobody else got screwed out of their money. So,
but you're right.
Ready.
It is a thing. It is a thing that you can do. If you can get a bunch of people that are sort of on the same schedule, then like, hey, I do my things every quarter. Like, make sure you're ready every quarter, and then we can, group it up. You can save some money that way for sure.
Like herding cats.
Yes, exactly right.
Yes.
Yeah,
it was definitely hurting cats. Yes, but it can be done though. I mean, it's tough, but I like dealing with people like Jay.
I know you don't.
Yes, I do. You remember some of the conversations we'd have? Get it done. There's a lot of bitch involved.
These motherfuckers.
There's a lot of that. All right, I'm sorry, Marcus. So, what was the second part of your question?
Damn, now I gotta think about it again. Okay, is it we covered the difficulties, and that's kind of how I posited to it, because there has to be the next step. Does that mean that there's something that needs to fundamentally change in the comic book industry? Because I've been working in consumer, goods, both automotive and then, household stuff, whatever, everything. Comic book industry business has been sticking out to me because it's so uniquely different from how literally everything else on the planet is ran and performed when it comes to like direct market, being in stores, or even just like how things are structured and everything like that. You can have, like, say, take automotive, for example. You can have a show like SEMA, Las Vegas, where everybody goes together, and it's not really about consumers. It's not about getting stuff out of public. It's not about making sales. It's about presenting whatever your shop or your independent business or anything like that can do. And people who are having these other independent shops, whether it's a mechanic shop, whether it's a modification shop or anything like that, coming and seeing what you can do and entering into business from that standpoint. Just the level of engagement that I've seen from there, and then from in housewares industry, consumer goods, is so different than how it is in comic books, because there's always a shop to manufacturer, producer, publisher, whatever the case may be, relationship that bleeds down into the actual consumer. And then in the world of comics, it's like inverted almost. So it just doesn't seem like as composed, both with how things are for the publishers, for the creators, just how we engage with comics in general, doesn't seem like conducive to organizing things and making these sort of like corporate structures and things like that, because everything is so insular, and everything is so I don't want to say like blocked off, but there is this like tremendous amount of almost friction that prevents really from everything coalescing, from people able to work together, go into collaborations together, even go into the shops and everything like that. And it's been a tough nut to crack and sort of like get my head around. And I don't know if I was just being weird about it or if everybody else sees the same thing.
I think the word you're looking for is dogmatic. It's like religion. It's like Judaism and Catholicism. It's two things. It's kind of like what is it? Oil and water. Things that don't mix, because it's an industry that is held up by no standards.
Well, I would disagree with you a little bit there. The thing about it is that we are a small niche market. Okay, the thing about comics is that we do not generate the kind of numbers that people will start to pay attention to. I mean, back in the 80s and 90s, when comics were selling, I mean, you would cancel the book if it sold less than 100,000. And now, you wish you could get 100,000. Now, the thing about it is that until you can get comics so that it can generate the kind of respectable numbers that people start to pay attention to, we're always going to be sort of this niche market.
Mhm.
And the thing about it is that comics is very easy, relatively easy to get into. You know, anybody with the printing technology we have now and the computer technology we have now, pretty much anybody can do their own comic. I mean, back in the 80s and 90s, it was rare for an independent comic to be in color. It's very rare. Now it's a standard. Almost every independent comic now is practically color. You know, it's only manga that's in black and white now, you know, to be honest. And the thing about printing is that color printing, as you all know, is more expensive than black and white printing. So manga is, you know, eating our lunch as far as printing is concerned, because they don't have to do color. You know, and the thing is that you know, until we can get the industry, you know, back on top again, where people are actually buying comics on a regular basis, you know, it's going to be difficult. Now, you know, there's nothing wrong with what we're doing now. Every one of us here, you know, has his own creation, you know, makes their own money. You know, when you do crowdfunding, the money comes directly to you. You're not going through a middleman. You know, you're not going through a publisher. You're not going through a distributor. You know, anything you make goes directly to you. You know, so you can decide to reinvest in doing another one, or you can just take the money and run. That's totally up to you. You know, and so the fact of the matter is that you continue, all of us here continue to keep producing, you know, shows that we have a dedication to our craft and our vision. You know, I mean, I don't know how many of you here would actually keep doing comics if you did a project that made you $1 million. Okay, let's just imagine that you did one project and you made $1 million. You know, would you keep doing comics, or would you just retire? You know, I mean, that's I would keep doing comics, but I'm not. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I was about to say, if I made $1 million off of one comic, I'm gonna try to make 3 more comics and get 3 million.
Yeah, exactly. But you know,
3 million.
Most people would just say, "Oh, hey, I'm happy, I'm satisfied." You know, most of us could retire on that. You know, on that. So,
not here in Southern California, man. I can't even rent a closet for that much.
Right. So, I mean, just to finish what I was saying about regulation and standards is that the other things that Marcus brought up as far as trade shows, you know, all those businesses have regulations and standards. There's someone setting regulations, there's someone setting rules on engagement on those kind of things, and you can't just open up a shop and say I'm a car dealer now if you don't have any cars on the lot.
Mm-hmm.
So the regulations and standards have to come into play before anyone can step foot into like an avenue or some kind of event where people are going to share information, because all the information you have is coming from a source that you probably can't even trust.
Well, I also believe that retailers are at fault too in some way. Okay, because they've been all they've supported is Marvel and DC. Mm-hmm. Very few of them support independent. If they had all of them, you know, diversified their line and started supporting, you know, other publishers, maybe they wouldn't be in the situation we're in now. Okay, because by relying strictly on 2 publishers for all of your sales, okay, you're pretty much handicapping yourself by not diversifying your line, you know, and creating and getting other people who don't care about superheroes to start coming into your store.
Well, I think that comes from them not understanding their customers. If they understand what their customers wanted, they can order what would cater to their tastes or their spending power. And
but it also comes from the fact that a lot of those store retailers never took business courses, and they're just fans that opened up stores, right? And they just wanted to continue their collections, right? And they're not really business people. They never took a 101 business course, right? They didn't learn how to diversify their lines.
So hold on a second. What you're telling me is that old fat guy with gray hair that had the cigarette ashtray next to the tin box and just a fold-out table with comic books never went to business school?
Well, you know, I mean, when you look in the mirror, that's what you see, you know.
Right. I mean, but this is why I think that like things like Comics Pro are very important, because the creators and the publishers are kind of the voice of their fans. Yeah. Like we were able to set up and talk to them and bring what people are telling us to those retailers at that show. So I mean, that's something that's going to be pretty huge, and I like I really wish you guys could attend those to see what's going on, because it was a really good time.
You said it's in Pittsburgh next year?
They haven't set a date. They haven't set the date yet, or the location. I know it'll be in February. I don't know where yet.
So I'm sleeping over if it is.
Oh, I got space. Got plenty of space here for you guys who want to come in and hang out.
Nice. All right, gentlemen, we made it to hour 2. So it's that time again. Thank you so much. It was awesome. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. And real quick, everybody, Marvin, where can they find you and your work, sir?
I am on the web, theedgecomic.com, where you can find all the links to everything, because I use Linktree. It's the greatest thing ever. You just click a link, and there's there's like a list of 1,000 things that you can click on to find Marvin Wynn, The Edge, and Comics Blurb.
Jay, you want to comment on Linktree real quick?
I hate Linktree.
Linktree.
Right.
Tom, where can they find you and your work, sir?
We're basically Big Dog Inc. everywhere. Just look for this. We pretty much live on Facebook. That's where everything starts, and then it filters out from there. We're on Instagram. We're on X. It's X now, guys. It's X. We're on X. We're on Patreon. We're on all those places. Just look up Big Dog Inc. and you'll find us.
All right, cool. Ben, where can they find you, sir?
Well, you can go to my website, bendunncomics.com. There you'll find all the guidelines to submit to Antarctic Press, to the various anthologies, or if you want to try your hand at submitting a series, you can find that there. I'm also on the various social media sites, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that newfangled young people social stuff. Yeah. So that's basically where you can, also on the AP website as well.
All right, cool. Just don't be like Jay. He has an OnlyFans, but we don't talk about that. Marcus, where can they find you and your work, sir?
Yeah, just look up Odyssey Comics. All roads lead there, except for Odyssey Comics and Cards. I'm not Odyssey Comics and Cards. People, please stop sending me emails. I don't. And aside from that, if anyone wants to see me in person, they can catch me at Baltimore. It's the next stop, Baltimore Comic Con. Nice. Coming up. So I'm finally making my first East Coast trip. We're gonna see what it do. I'm excited to see a lot of the creators and friends that I have on that side. That usually don't get to see. I have to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nice. Mr. J, where can they find you work, sir?
Unstoppable Comics Linktree.
Oh, it's not Linktree?
No, sorry.
Linktree.
Unstoppablecomics.com, ladies and gentlemen. All roads for me lead to and from unstoppablecomics.com. You can find our social media links on that website, as well as any books that you cannot find in a store.
Very nice.
Right. Excuse me.
All right, so I'm JD Calderon. You can find me here just about every Sunday night. And you can also find me on theoswaldchronicles.com, talltalesonline.com, Twitter, Facebook, all those different places, all under JD Calderon. And thank you all for being here. And just remember, everybody, buy more indie comics, especially ours. Have a good night, guys. Thank you so much. You guys are all awesome. Appreciate all of it.
Put up that title card, brother. Put up that title card. Go ahead.
There you go. I'm putting it up just for you.